Lynne Schulze into the studio this morning. Good morning, Lynne.
Good morning.
Always a pleasure to see you.
Good to be here.
It's always fun. I enjoy having Ryan in here as well. And for the last, my goodness, couple months now, we've had to pivot really quickly because of the COVID-19 and all of that. But you guys have just been hitting it out of the park as it relates to bringing in interesting guests to talk to here. I know you have a day job, radio. You're just doing this as a courtesy to the community to come in here and talk and inform us what is happening in the world of senior management and senior care. And with us on the line, you brought in a guest, and we'll welcome her right now. Welcome, Susan Schulze. Good morning, Susan.
Good morning. Thank you for letting me be a part of this.
Well, very good. Absolutely. My biggest challenge of the morning so far has been to properly pronounce your last name. So we were having fun with that during the break, playing in our minds the Tears for Fears song using your last name as that one part of the lyric.
All day now.
Yes. Lynn's going to be singing Tears for Fears all morning.
Right.
Schulze.
You did a great job.
Well, I understand, Susan, that you have your father, and he's a resident at Carteret Landing over there. What's your father's name, Susan?
Jim Ledbetter.
Jim. We'll just say Jim, your dad, Jim. And for a time, your brother was there as well as a resident at Carteret Landing, correct?
That's right. That's when I first met Lynne.
Okay. And what was your brother's name? He passed, but what was your brother's name?
John Ledbetter.
John. Okay. So John, and now Jim is a current resident. And I understand from Lynne, he came to Carteret Landing about in September of 2018, just in time for the hurricane. Great.
Well, he did. In fact, that's how it all precipitated. Florence was happening, which was the only way I could probably get my dad out of his house. So he came to live with us with his big dog. And we found out kind of after the hurricane and aftermath, when we went back to work, that it was hard for my dad to be there by himself.
Sure. How old's your dad?
He's 93, soon to be 94.
Fantastic. That's fantastic. Well, you're fortunate to have a father to live into his 90s. That's just terrific. And now he's over at Carteret Landing. So I know, Lynne, that when we really became aware that, hey, this thing is real and it's going to affect everybody, different protocols went in place at Carteret Landing, and it affected the way in which people such as Susan can interact with Jim, her 93-year-old father.
Absolutely.
Susan, how, before all of this, how often were you visiting Dad? How often, and how long would you stay with him at Carteret Landing? And then when the protocols went in place of separation, how did you adapt to that?
Well, I have to say that Lynne is definitely one of my heroes, and they make it so easy for me to visit during the week before all this COVID. I could go on a lunch hour and sit in the dining room and visit with him and his friends while he ate lunch. I could pop by on the weekends. So it was very accessible for me to see my dad. Now, since COVID, it has been challenging, but I think they've done a great job with helping us stay connected through FaceTime and iPhone chat. So he's been able to see my face, I've been able to see his face, and he's been able to see his grandchildren. So it's been great.
That's great. Now, Lynne, when families such as Susan were trying to connect via social media platforms, were some of the residents easily adapters into getting online and seeing their loved ones, or are there? I should say this: at Carteret Landing, are there 10-year-olds on staff that can help people understand how computers work? I know Ryan's pretty young and pretty savvy with the electronic.
Ryan is our techie. He's definitely he's my go-to, and so it's. He actually has to show me.
Show all of it. No, seriously.
No.
So in the case of Susan's dad, Jim, was he a quick adapter to understanding how these processes work?
He was. He definitely was. And of course, our activity directors have really stepped up, and they're kind of really have the ball rolling on this. So they've just picked up on how and when and to do this and get them engaged and talking to a phone.
Yeah.
That's the hardest part is, you've got a little iPhone,
Yeah.
And you're holding it up, and they're kind of looking like, what? A lot of our residents don't have cell phones and don't want them, quite frankly. They
Yeah.
like that old landline. But they've adapted, and it's been great.
That's
and
great.
Just to see their family's face is huge.
So
It is
Susan,
huge.
when's you've talked to you've communicated, talked to
Yes.
your father over these devices. When was the last time? When was the last time you kissed your father?
Oh, it's been a couple months. It really has been.
How does that feel?
Well, it's. I feel sad for him.
Mhm.
You know, he's so lonely. Sorry.
That's okay.
That's okay. It is. It's hard. And that's one thing that we've noticed is I can't tell you how many hugs I normally got in a day. And it's so important just to have that touch, to have that feel. And right now, of course, the residents will kind of approach us like they want a hug, and we're like, oh,
Yeah.
you know, and we kind of make a joke of it, so it's not awkward, but it's that touch, that hug, that reassurance. For us and families.
Well,
Oh,
yeah. Go ahead, Susan. Did you want to add something
Yeah,
to that?
well, I'm just so glad they're still there. You know, my dad, he's very attached to Lynne and Lisa Harlow, the activities director, and the fact that he can still interact with them on a daily basis, and I know how caring and loving they are, makes a huge difference.
Yeah. Well, also, you know, of course, your focus, you know, when you think of Carteret Landing, is your father. But I believe Lynne told me of a program initiated by you and the firm in which you work. And I want you to tell the audience where you work, if you'd like to. But tell us about the Letters of Love program.
Oh, yes. Well, that was the brainchild of Megan Gravely that works at Mary Cheatham King Real Estate, which is where I work.
Okay.
And she had this great idea to connect the community with these nursing homes, and particularly Carteret Landing, because that's where my dad was. And so a letter writing campaign. And it's really taken off. And I think that it was a wonderful idea and helped to get the community involved in reaching out to these older folks that are, you know, desperately wanting to see their family.
That's cool. Now, could you put a number on that, Susan? Approximately how many Letters of Love program, how many letters were actually written and delivered and sent to residents at various nursing homes?
I can tell you definitely for Carteret Landing, it's been several hundred, because they wanted each resident to have a letter before they started passing them out.
That's amazing. Now, is this program ongoing? Are they still writing? Are people still drafting and sending letters?
We actually got a letter yesterday.
Is that right?
Aw.
Now, they come through the regular mail, or are they
Come
delivered to
through
the?
regular mail to the community. And Susan's right. In the beginning, I didn't want to just give one resident a letter, so we kind of saved them, and then we went room to room and passed out letters. And ironically, just so happens, just not thinking, but we took some pictures of the residents
That's good.
receiving the letters,
Yeah.
and it was just so heartwarming. But one of the pictures that we put on Facebook was Susan's dad.
Oh, that's cool.
So,
It was.
she immediately called and said, oh my gosh, it was so wonderful to see. But the letters, just to see their faces, receive those letters was huge.
Susan, if someone's listening to this broadcast now, and we have millions of listeners, don't be bashful now knowing that we have a vast audience in 5 counties. If someone's hearing this for the first time, Letters of Love, how can they participate in this? I mean, how does it work?
Oh, my goodness, that would be amazing. Yes, if they could just write a card or a letter to any resident, you could just put down resident at Carteret Landing at their address on Friendly Road. Then the staff there will make sure that these folks get a special touch from someone. And I think it really does make a difference. And, of course, for my dad, letters are old school.
Oh, yeah.
So this is kind of cool. He just cherishes a letter.
And not to put words in people's pens or pencils, is the message generic? In other words, I know privacy laws and all that, they're probably not putting out a roster of residents to mail to, but just basically in general to a lady, to a man, or just generic like that. I'm thinking of you, that type of thing.
Correct.
Is that right, Lynne?
That's
Correct.
exactly
Okay.
right.
Okay.
That's
Yes.
just uplifting and, hopeful. And I just think that's such a sweet thing to do.
Very good.
Some have actually been from children, and and some residents are sight impaired, so we've had to read the letters to them, and it's hard to get through it, quite frankly.
That's cool.
They're just so sweet, and just thinking of you, or some of the children will say what they're doing in their day and their life, and thinking of you. So it's
just honest and innocent. Honest.
Correct.
Now, for listeners out there who they're familiar with Carteret Landing, and you hear the spots on this radio station, and Lynne Schulze is the voice there, and it's always behind the Friendly Mart. But I don't think the post office would recognize that as an address. So, what is it? It's Carteret Landing. What's the street?
It's actually 221 Friendly Road, of course, Morehead City. My mind just.
That's right. It's a senior moment. It's okay.
28557.
What? Say that, Susan. What is the zip code for Morehead?
28557.
You got that right.
Correct.
Okay, there you go,
Thank
Lynne. Lynne had the right. She was
I was
on the
in the
right track.
ballpark.
She had two. We just missed the other four. So 221 Friendly Road in Morehead City, 28557. So letters of love. I guess you could say that just under the care
They
of.
do. They just send it Carteret Landing,
Yeah.
letters of love. They'll note on there, so we'll know, and then we get them to the residents.
That's a great program, Susan. We talk continually on this show and other broadcasts, but specifically to the virus and how it's changed, how it's an upheaval. But in all of those situations, there's usually, hopefully, a silver lining or two or three. And it sounds like you and your folks at the real estate company, at the firm, really tapped into something here that could probably continue, in the years ahead to residents like that. Because like you said, they're old school, and they like to get letters and, read something tangible.
Right. It's something
Yes,
they can
that's
hold on
correct.
to, too. I mean, it's something that they can set on their nightstand and re-look at that letter. It's not just a look at it once.
Yeah.
It's something that they can pick up and reflect back on.
That's very cool. Let's do this. Let's take a break here. Susan, can you stay on the line for the next 15 minutes or so?
Sure, I'd love to.
Okay.
Thank you.
I don't want to take you away from a closing or something important like that, an open house, but I know you're a busy woman. We're on the phone with Susan Schulze. Her father is Jim, and he's a resident at Carteret Landing. If you want to learn more about Carteret Landing, go online to ridgecare.com, or you can call Lynne Schulze. She's the Vice President of First Impressions, 252-773-0980.
Hi, this is Lynne Schulze at Carteret Landing. We invite you to visit our beautiful assisted living community. Carteret Landing pairs exceptional, compassionate senior care with the stylings of a resort. Our beautifully appointed suites, common areas, and bright and engaging memory care neighborhood can provide you or your loved one with the quality living they deserve. Carteret Landing is in Morehead City, right behind the Friendly Market. Come by and see us today or call for your personal tour at 252-773-0980.
Did you get a new car?
No, I just took it to the wash factory.
What's the Wash Factory?
It's the new car wash in Morehead on Highway 70 behind Belk's, across from Dick's Sporting Goods.
It looks brand new.
The Wash Factory car wash has state-of-the-art equipment. If you just need to wash the salt off or want waxes, tire shine, bug scrubbing, lava shield, the Wash Factory has you covered. I like it so much, I bought a monthly wash pass that lets me wash every day for one low price. And they reclaim their water, which protects the environment.
The Wash Factory car wash sounds great. I'm heading there now.
Hello, my name is Felicia Magyar, and I'm a funeral director at Brooks Funeral Home and Crematory in Morehead City. While our country struggles during this difficult time, we at Brooks Funeral Home would like to thank the real-life heroes that include all of our healthcare professionals, grocery store staff, mail carriers, and so many others out there serving our community every day. If you have a need for our services or any questions, please call us at 252-726-5580. Brooks Funeral Home and Crematory. Respect, dignity, compassion.
Hi, I'm John Erickson Tata with a message about the importance of washing your hands. You see, with my spinal cord injury, I'm more susceptible to infection. Because I do not have strong muscles to help me cough, a simple cold can easily develop into a life-threatening pneumonia if not treated quickly. And sitting in a wheelchair puts me at risk of developing pressure sores, which, if not kept clean and bandaged, can lead to infection. It's why my husband and girlfriends, who help me with my daily routine, always wash their hands before feeding me breakfast or brushing my teeth. And what applies to me applies to other people with disabilities, cancer, or a compromised immune system. So if you're a caregiver to a loved one with a disability or chronic illness, remember to practice good hand hygiene. Wash your hands. It's a good word of advice from disabilitycampaign.org.
Hi, this is Dr. Tom, the Coastal Gardener, heard live on Coastal Daybreak every Thursday morning at 7:30 on the talk station. And now the best of the Coastal Gardener is on every Sunday morning at 6:30.
Inch by inch, row by row, gonna make this garden grow.
Now you can get twice the Coastal Gardener, live on Thursday morning at 7:30 as part of Coastal Daybreak, and the best of the Coastal Gardener, heard Sunday morning at 6:30 only on the talk station.
Welcome back to our senior moment. In studio, I have Lynne Schulze from Carteret Landing. And if you'd like to learn more about Carteret Landing, go online to ridgecare.com or give them a call at 252-773-0980. It's a beautiful facility. And when we get back to the new normal, and hopefully that's soon, Lynne, I would encourage people to take a tour of the facility. I think you'll be very impressed, as I was when I went there for the first time.
Right now we're doing window tours.
Well, yeah.
I'm meeting somebody tomorrow morning, and we're just going to play Peeping Tom and kind of look through windows.
That's one way to do it.
But at least you can still kind of get an idea and a feel.
What about online? Can you do you have like a little a slideshow, a gallery, virtual tour?
I'm actually working on that.
Good, yeah.
I started getting videos of the building inside, and we're going to put it together on a program we have called One Day. But unfortunately, my phone said, "You're maxed out." Picture.
Maybe,
so I've been deleting.
Maybe Susan's father, Jim, can give you a hand with the technology there. The tech.
Probably, yeah.
Hey, Susan, I have a question for you, but before I launch into that, on the phone with us is Susan Schulze, and are you a real estate agent, or do you have some other function at the firm in which you work?
I'm a listing coordinator for Mary Cheatham King Real Estate.
Okay.
So I would help you if you wanted to list your house and sell it. We could get it done for you.
Very good. There was your opportunity to plug, and you did a great job, Susan. Fantastic. Right on cue. And that was not pre-recorded or pre-rehearsed. I had the question. What was my question before I launched into
Senior moment?
It is a senior moment. Oh my goodness, we all have. I know. Your father is 93, soon to be 94. When is your dad's birthday?
It's June 10th.
June 10th, nice.
My daughter's birthday.
Real close to Father's Day. Yeah, my best friend in Allentown is June 10th. But did your father serve in any of the armed services? He would have been right about.
He sure did, yeah.
Which
He's a World War II veteran.
Fantastic. I thought so, because he was probably born in 26, right around there. He would have been 18 right towards the end of the war.
That's exactly right.
What branch of service did your dad serve in?
He was in the Army, and he helped liberate concentration camps in Germany. This was after the war, but
Wow.
He was responsible for marching German citizens through the concentration camps to make sure that they knew that they existed.
That's remarkable. That's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. We, not to digress, but several months ago, we had a Auschwitz survivor, Max Eisen. He's an author and he lives in Toronto, and he remembers the American GIs coming to the fence and knocking down the gates. The Nazis had already fled the camp. He was there from 44 to 45. He had more than 60 people in his family perish in the concentration camps. His uncle and father survived.
That's amazing.
Max, if you want to read a compelling story, he's written a book, Not Alone, I believe it was called, or I Alone, and it's Max Eisen, Eisen. We had him on air here, and he's about your father's age. I think he was.
Wow.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's amazing. I'd like to when things.
Yes,
when
I was going to say this is right up your alley.
Yeah, I'd love to come over and meet your father. That's fantastic. So I want to ask you, Susan, since you had your brother John, and he was a resident for a brief while at Carteret Landing, and then now your father's there. How does a family first approach the idea with a loved one? In the case of your dad and your brother, they were both living together. Your father really being the caregiver for your brother, who was suffering from cancer, and you are in the community here, but you weren't living in that household. How does a family? You can talk 5 miles up. You don't have to get too deep into the weeds. How does a family first approach the discussion about maybe we need to look at this situation as moving to some sort of assisted living center such as Carteret Landing? And then I'll get more specific. How did you dial in on Carteret Landing?
Right. Well, with my brother, we were looking for some respite care while we were waiting for a place at the hospice house. And so his hospice nurse was able to be a part of his residency there at Carteret Landing. And that's how I met Lynne initially. So I had a connection with her. And then when my brother passed away and Florence happened, and my dad came here, and we realized, gosh, we can't put Dad back in his house. We had some nurses that would come by during the day at my dad's house, but that was just not enough care for him to be safe and me to feel comfortable. And so I immediately thought of Lynne and called her, and they came here to my house to talk to my dad again. And so we were able to transition fairly smoothly to get my dad into Carteret Landing, and I knew he was going to be cared for and safe and eat 3 meals a day and just all the things that I worried about when he lived on his own.
Yeah, I was wondering too. Looking at, I feel as though like me, you, and Lynne, we're of the same generation, and we have the same things we're looking at for our parents, those that are still alive and with us, and perhaps one day we all going to cross that bridge of having to make that decision for our parents.
Yes.
Do you feel a sense of relief now? I mean, I guess what my point is, when your dad and brother were living under the same roof, was there a certain angst with you, kind of like that sword of Damocles hanging over your head every day? Sometimes like something doesn't feel right, and you knew what it was. It always went back to, I think my father or my brother need different type of care. And then you made that decision, whether it's a tough decision or the right decision or somewhere in between. Now that your father is in the hands of Carteret Landing, how does that help you in your day-to-day? Do you feel less of an angst and anxiety hanging over you?
Oh, my goodness, absolutely. It's definitely been a godsend. And my dad lived in Beaufort, so it was 20 minutes to get to his house. So this is so much more convenient for me, too. Prior to COVID, I was able to pop by whenever I wanted to. So that's been nice, too. But, yes, I certainly did worry constantly about how they were doing and if they needed anything.
It is really remarkable, and I'll say this from firsthand experience, Susan, is when things get back to normal, and again, we keep saying that, and hopefully it's soon, and the doors to Carteret Landing are open to the public and for families such as yourselves. Walking into Carteret Landing, to me at least, is like walking into a boutique hotel. And I'm not saying that because Lynn's looking at me right here. It was my first impression when I walked in there. I mean, it's like one of those, like I said, it is like an inn or a boutique hotel that it would be a 5-star, rating, and because it was just every turn you made, you were looking at a social room and the kitchen, just the residence rooms, and the staff and the residents all appeared to be like happy guests, at a very beautiful retreat. We're going to take a short break here. Susan, stay with us, and we'll close out the segment after these messages. Talking with our senior moment. If you want to learn more about Carteret Landing, go to ridgecare.com or give them a call, 252-773-0980. We'll be back with our final wrap-up segment. Thank you.
Are you prepared financially? Hi, I'm Greg Hicks.
Join Greg on The Greg Hicks Show, Wednesdays at 7:30 on FM 107 and AM 1240.
Do you invest logically or do you invest emotionally? On our next show, you'll learn about your investment personality as we discuss the psychology of investing.
Listen Wednesdays at 7:30 for The Greg Hicks Show.
Securities offered through Capital Investment Group Incorporated, 100 East 6 Forks Road, Suite 200, Raleigh, NC 27609. Member FINRA SIPC, affiliated with Capital Investment Advisory Services, LLC.
Hi, this is Lynne Schulze at Carteret Landing. We invite you to visit our beautiful assisted living community. Carteret Landing pairs exceptional, compassionate senior care with the stylings of a resort. Our beautifully appointed suites, common areas, and bright and engaging memory care neighborhood can provide you or your loved one with the quality living they deserve. Carteret Landing is in Morehead City, right behind the Friendly Market. Come by and see us today or call for your personal tour at 252-773-0980.
In over 30 years of practice and 15 years on the radio, the respected law firm of Harvell and Collins has demystified the law with a professional and compassionate touch. Cecil Harvell and Wes Collins, along with associates Andrew Foster, Sam Morris, and Julie Sakeley, practice in all areas of civil law, including estate planning, estate-related matters, tax law, elder law, collections, and foreclosures, as well as civil trial practice in these and all other civil matters. Learn more online at harvellandcollins.com and call to arrange your free initial consultation at 252-726-9050. Plus, Cecil Harvell and Wes Collins answer your questions live each Tuesday morning at 7:30 on Let's Talk Legal on the Talk Station.
Hey, I got a 52-inch above-ground pool with a small deck around it and a self-closing gate at the top of the deck, but I don't have the whole yard fenced in.
For the right advice at the right time, call on Harvell and Collins, attorneys at law, 1107 Bridges Street in Morehead City.
I'm Dan Bongino, and I interview some of the biggest names in politics on the biggest topics.
The President of the United States, President Donald J. Trump. Mr. President, thank you so much for joining us today. It is a great honor. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Dan, and thank you for all of the great things you've said. You are a warrior.
So we got a lot ahead. Welcome to the Dan Bongino Show.
Listen and subscribe to my daily podcast free on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
I want to thank our guest this morning with our senior moment, Susan Schulze, with the Letters of Love program. I think that's fantastic. And if you are catching this show now, you can send a letter still to Carteret Landing to a resident and address it to 221 Friendly Road in Morehead City, 28557. Susan, thanks for coming on this morning. That was terrific.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And I want to meet Jim when I'm allowed to come back into Carteret Landing.
I have no doubt you will. I have no doubt you will.
Lynn, thanks again for hitting another grand slam here with this fantastic guest, Susan Schulze. Susan, have a great day and a great weekend. Say hi to your dad.
Thank you. Y'all too.
All right, we'll do.
Thank you.
Check out more about Carteret Landing by going online to ridgecare.com or give Lynn a call. Give her a chance to walk across the parking lot and through the wooded area back home because we're right in their shadow. Her phone number is 252-773-0980. That's going to do it for our senior moment this week, and we'll do it again next Friday. I seem to be doing these every day, but the official one is Friday at 7:30.